Well, we have a very different agenda than Donald Trump has. Here's what our agenda says. First of all, we are going to deal with the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in America. We want a government and an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%. Now, I don't know how you feel about it. The media doesn't talk about it. We don't talk about it in Congress. Very few people talk about it. But you're living in a country today in which the wealthiest 3 families now own more wealth than the bottom half of the American people, 160 million Americans. You're living in a country today where the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 92%, where 49% of all new income generated today is going to the top 1%. We need an economy that works for all of us. And what does that mean? That means that for a start, in America, if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be living in poverty. We're going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. And we don't think it makes a lot of sense that women earn 80 cents on the dollar compared to men. Am I right, women? And here's something else that I believe from the bottom of my heart. It's not just that I have a lifetime voting record of 100% for the AFL-CIO and the trade union movement. It's not just that I've walked on dozens of picket lines throughout my career as a mayor, as a congressman, as a senator. It's that I happen to believe from the bottom of my heart that when you look at the decline of the American middle class over the last 40 years, you are seeing a parallel decline of the trade union movement. So if we want to grow the middle class in America, we have got to grow the trade union movement. I am sick and tired. I am sick and tired, as the American people are, of seeing corporations become richer and richer, running profitable plants in America, but because they're only concerned about the bottom line, shutting down and moving abroad. I'm sick and tired of seeing companies that are doing very well cutting back on the health care benefits of their workers and on other types of labor protections. All right? We are sick and tired of that. We will use the power of the federal government to say to large, profitable corporations, treat your workers with respect, treat them with dignity. One of the major issues that we are dealing with, and certainly is an issue impacting unions all across this country, is that we are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people as a right. In my view, health care is a human right, whether you're rich or whether you're poor or whether you are middle class. We right now have a dysfunctional health care system. It is a system in which 30 million Americans have no health insurance, and many of you are underinsured with high deductibles and high copayments. Yes. Tens of thousands of Americans die every year. You don't hear much about it. Why do they die? Because they don't go to the doctor when they should, because they don't have any health insurance, or their deductibles or their copayments are too high. And at the end of all of that, we spend twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other major country. So we're spending a fortune. We're spending now close to $11,000 per person on health care. Tens of millions of people are uninsured or underinsured. We pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. That's the bad news. The good news is the insurance companies and the drug companies are making tens of billions of dollars in profit. Well, to my mind, the function of healthcare is to provide quality care to all people, not to make billions in profits for the executives and the companies in the healthcare industry. So we are going to move toward a Medicare for all single-payer program. Now, my Republican colleagues, they, after giving huge tax breaks to large private corporations and the wealthy, they suddenly become very concerned about the deficit. Very concerned. And their response is, well, we're going to have to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Well, this president will not cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. This president will expand Social Security and make it financially viable for the next 50 years. And I am more than aware, and it applies all over the country, but especially here in the Midwest, that pensions, defined benefit pensions, are in serious danger. All right, we have legislation that deals with, but here is the bottom line, and it really gets to the root of whether or not people will have faith in the American political system. For 30, 40 years, people who worked on a job understood that if they took less wage increases, maybe took less health care benefits, they would be guaranteed a decent pension when they retired. Is that right? That's what they put into. And then suddenly, was it 3 or 4 years ago, against my strong opposition, the Congress decided to put these pension plans, multi-employer pension plans, at risk. And some of these workers, and I have talked to them, are facing up to 40, 50, 60% cuts in the retirement benefits, the pensions that they were promised. Imagine living your whole life expecting, hey, when we retire, my wife and I, we're going to have a good pension, and then suddenly find that that has been cut into half. We are going to fully fund those pensions. Promises made to workers will be kept.